All right, and hello again. This is Chad Everett Broshears. I am the host of Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. And today's episode, by the way, is on time is never wasted, even when you decide that it is. It never, ever, ever is wasted. So here's a few insights on how it's not wasted. All right, so let me get started. So you understand that this is part of the education that I'm developing or have also currently have developed and furthering the development of the Human Manual and this video series of Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia is when you hear something, regardless to what that thing is you're hearing or doing, that you feel you are wasting your time, then your mind is going someplace else anyway, either reinforcing the idea that you don't want to experience this particular thing again, or that there's something else that you want to do and you're just not currently doing it. Now, here's a few tidbits on that. First off is if you cannot be present to something that you're doing because you don't find it either interesting. Well, first we'll go by if you feel that what you're being a part of isn't what you want to do, your priorities are elsewhere, and you're currently doing something that you believe you have to do for whatever reason. So sometimes those are factual, sometimes they're not, but ultimately it's still something that you're doing. And your actions say that it is a priority at that moment, either honoring somebody else's request, listening to a command, or whatever that may be, but it's still what you're doing. So your proof is that it is a priority to you. Now, if something is superseding that priority by you saying, I want to be doing something else, that thing that you want to do is connected to something. So if that something is you're not exactly experiencing enough joy or fun in your life, then maybe you're thinking about being somewhere else, doing something fun like a vacation or whatever. If you're sitting at work and you are so consumed with the idea that you don't want to be there and the vacation is the fantasy that you're living into, then you really would do well to reevaluate your relationship with your job. Otherwise, it's going to continue to offer a less than satisfactory existence for you. Now, I'm not saying leave your job, I'm saying reevaluate it so that you can think deeper into what that job potentially can be. A lot of people, and I teach this in my developmental series, as far as the business, mastering you in business, I teach this particular concept, which is if you want to have a specific type of lifestyle, first you need to understand what that lifestyle requires as fundamental values in order to achieve that. So you don't want to get too stuck in the clouds about the desire to do something or be someone, but more or less just use that as a goal. So that's your goalpost, and you're going to take actions in order to achieve that result. So if that's the case, what requirements are necessary for you to achieve your goal? Right? What kind of training do you need to go through in order to acquire your said desire or your believed desire? Now, some of these things are pretty much every one of the examples that I can think of are all fairly complex the more we look at it. So if you want to be a business owner, you got to learn to sell some way, somehow, regardless of the substance that you're offering. You still need to learn to sell that particular product. So if you do not have that skill set yet, you can either be paid to learn it. You could either go off and try to learn it on your own, or you can get a mentor to have support you, which is one of the fastest means is using a mentor if the mentor is capable. That was a Bigfoot sighting in the background. All right. So with this is Sugar Baby. Hey, shush, hush, baby girl. No cameo for you today. Sugar Bear says hello to everyone. You want to do a quick cameo? Huh? You want to do a quick cameo? Yeah. Well, go ahead. Stick your little head up there. Come on. Come on, Sugars. Here you are. See you. Okay. I'm really think it's important, huh? All right, go ahead. Back up, baby. All right, there's an intermission. Okay. So if you don't quite have those skills, that skill set yet, you can actually do you can go and get that skill set. Seek out a job that actually requires that you produce that particular result, and they will be your report card. So if you can keep the job and you become proficient at it, which is what you'll most likely be taught to be, because that's what the nature of most jobs are, they will groom you to be successful in that particular area, but you must perform, all right? Be willing to grow, develop, and then skill set, and also supporting that company or whomever that may be, at least for the time being. So it's not about using to achieve anything either, although we do spend a lot of time in our lives actually acquiring who we are by the feedback. So with that being said, you kind of do use people, but not maliciously. It's our way of, we feel ourselves up against somebody else so that we can understand how we affect others, which the key element of that is how we understand our facts. It's about us. It's about recognizing and understanding who we are. So time is never wasted. So if you're at a job and you feel like it's a dead end, what do you want to do first? It's not go jump out there and try to start your own business if you've never had business experience. It's not about any of those things. It's actually about recognize what you wish to do and start planning for that particular future. A lot of people live their life like their dreams are a lottery way. You're going to do it like you win the lottery, and you just have to pay for the right ticket or whatever, and you're going to magically have it happen. You just have to take the right action, and magic it happens rather than a developmental direction. And it's kind of what I mean by a lottery concept is like you'd have to pull a Jerry Maguire and quit your job, but not really look at everything else that he had to do in that particular movie in order to acquire success. So with that, it's a better understanding how people behave with that, this wishfulness that they're going to get their job, and they'll put themselves in tough situations without really giving an allowance for the tough situation. What it might be like to live in their car, right? Like hitting these hardships that you hear people talk about, and we kind of step over it and not really give credit to its reality. So you can dream all day about these things, but if you're not actually taking action to acquire your particular outcome, your outcome's not going to be very effective. So, you may walk away from your job and then 6 months later go, oh no, what did I do? So you see, there's actually quite a bit to this particular understanding. But in the short end of it is you never waste time, no matter what. If you're in a certain relationship, you're learning a lot about yourself, even if you're not necessarily happy in the relationship. But if your belief in having a functional quality relationship is being happy all the time, you bought a bucket of nonsense. Like, it's just a bucket of spoiled crabs, right? Because now you're going to hold it against your partner that you're not happy all the time, especially if you believe it's your partner's responsibility. Which, if you're looking at a relationship and believing that the way of having a good relationship is be happy all the time, you are already making the statement that the other person is in itself responsible for your happiness, rather than understanding that relationships, like anything else, are a series of developments that you actually have to develop yourself through it so that two people can coexist, or however many people are in that that relationship responsibly can coexist into a desired outcome. By no means am I saying don't be present in the relationship. I actually am saying be present in the relationship, but you may not necessarily hear that because modern teachings on being present are, in large, not fully accurate. No, bastardize the past and destroy your future. All in the name of living at this moment, right? You have to really be responsibly taught how to be present rather than stop living in the past. You know, when I hear when somebody's upset about something and they're living in the past, there's something that hasn't been completed yet. And until it's completed, it's not rational to think they'll have a different outcome. No, that's the simplicity of it. You know, history repeats itself. That's for a very good reason. History repeats itself because we've failed to learn the fundamentals to each one of these lessons that occur for us. So with that, it is a time to recognize that if you feel you're wasting time, it's time to grow up, start looking at life a little different. Sorry. Seek out other insights, and you'll find that you really are not wasting time ever. As I'd spoken with a young lady as she was cutting my hair earlier, and she was talking about how she had pretty much the ideal childhood, but still fell into a little bit of a drug culture and alcohol culture. And she was in it for a little while, and then she had an intervention. And I'm not sure if she did it herself or if someone else intervened in her life to cause the intervention. But regardless, she left the culture. And she had said that she had found a pamphlet when she was in downtown, and the pamphlet itself had said, you know, common sense to living life, or, you know, common sense for living a happy life, or something like that, or a full life, or something along those lines. One was brush your teeth, you know, 2 was like take a shower or whatever. 3 was, you know, don't do drugs, or eat healthy. And 4 was don't do drugs or drink alcohol. And I said it's already implying that if you do drugs or drink alcohol, that there is wasted time and there is no value in that particular experience. And that is plain and blatantly not true. The timeline that this young lady spent inside of being in that culture, she did not turn her brain off and didn't learn things about the world, right? It's not anything like that. She learned a lot about the world in that timeline. It was, especially as a crucial timeline, late teens into her 20s. It's a crucial timeline for making up your ideas about how you think life should be. Most people live their convictions that they apply to themselves or put upon them at 16, and they live their life as if that's the way it's supposed to be, and keep having arguments and fights as you keep moving forward. And these aren't truths. They can be a truth to you, but they're not an absolute truth. You can live your life however you want from day to day. It's up to you. Now, I'm not saying be irresponsible or give no worry for tomorrow. I'm not one of those people, right? I actually say, you know, whatever it is that you wish to achieve, let's get to work and find out how much you really wish for that particular experience. Being a filthy rich person is not a level of something other than being an experience. Like, it's not like you ascend to being some other kind of human being. You just have a different experience that people that don't have money don't have, right? It is that kind of thing. So we constantly have different opportunities and, you know, different things that are presented to us. If you live your life believing the only way to have a valuable life, which is going to be found in your actions, not necessarily in your language, like what you say, but your actions and your underthoughts, or the thoughts that you have in the subconscious and mid-consciousnesses of the mind, you'll have basically reinforcing the idea that the only way to have a quality life or a life worth living is to be wealthy. That's an infectious idea. It's almost certainly not one that you gave yourself, but you observed, or you observed without ability to combat, and or you were told that directly by an authority, whoever that authority is, your parents, you know, whomever that were early authority figures for you. So as far as all of this is concerned, you never waste time in anything. Every single aspect and experience that you have has a significant amount of value, but it's up to you how you actually find that value. You know, are you a, you know, future, or are you a values prospector, or a fool's gold aficionado? Sorry on that. I did a video on that very recently, and I hope brings a great deal of value. And you haven't watched that one, please, after you finish this one, find it and enjoy it. So apparently my computer and my system is freezing up a bit. Must be too much data drain on my router. But yeah, so as far as all of this is concerned, I would really just enjoy the idea that you guys are open to giving me some feedback. And also, I hope that this has brought a good deal of value to you. I'll give one more quick life example to how I never waste time, no matter what I do. I had a job working at a power plant because I have nearly 10 years of experience working in the power industry, electricity generation and distribution. And I learned a lot on the power plant operations side of things because that was the particular job that I had. I wasted no time whatsoever when I was in that position. But I left the company and then returned for about, I'm purposely pausing in case you guys are wondering if you missed something. You didn't miss anything. I'm just looking at when my screen freezes up. I stop for a second. So I returned to the job for a power company, and there was a moment whenever I was actually assigned a job getting paid to do nothing. Well, close to nothing. I was getting paid to sit in a chair and watch this panel and notify the control room for the facility anytime we had alarms that I could not clear. So I was paid to sit there for 12 hours and maybe got an alarm once every 10 hours, if that. So really it was just sitting there for a 12-hour shift doing almost nothing. Now, for anybody who wishes that he got paid for doing nothing, you do not understand what you're wishing for. Because in your statement alone, getting paid to do nothing means literally doing nothing. It doesn't mean going out and doing whatever it is you wish to do, and somebody's paying you just to be you doing whatever you wish to do, because that is you doing something. But they don't find value in that thing that you go out and do. But to do truly nothing means that you do nothing. Closest thing we can do to doing nothing is sitting in a chair and staring at a wall, right? Two actions or two things, which is one sitting in a chair and the other staring at a wall. Your mind will go places, but if that's it, you're truly constricted to the idea of doing nothing and getting paid. No, it's not a welfare state by any means. People on welfare are being paid, but they're doing something and they're doing whatever they wish for the most part. Some of that is constructive. Some of that is not really to get out of their position, but I'm not jumping into the welfare conversation, just more or less giving you an insight on what it's like to say, I wish I could get paid to do nothing. Trust me, I've done close to nothing and got paid for it, and it was one of the worst experiences that I've ever had. It was just one of the most monotonous experiences earlier in my life. At this point, though, I utilized this particular new skill set, or the skill set that I've developed. It's not really so much new, it's just over time. So as I returned to the power company, now we're coming up closer to present day, but it's been about 2 years. No, I'm sorry, a year and a half, roughly, since I had returned. I'm no longer with that company either, but I was sitting there and doing that job, doing practically nothing. And instead of feeling unbelievably bored or anything, I was allowed to read if I wanted, but not just any material. It had to be plant material, so basically learning the systems and unique values that the plant had. And I was fine with that, but I didn't find that out until later on because it wasn't just one day I did it. I did that for a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks roughly. I started using my education and everything that I knew from macro to micro, cosmologically and to quantum physically, or to the quantum physics of things. So I first started looking at big value aspects and going back into my memory for things that I've gone over and making it very rationally understandable and functional, rather than just some sort of memorized material that a lot of people do. And then I got down to the quantum level of things. And as I sat a particular post, I actually started thinking about the paint that was on the post, where that paint may have come from, what causes the paint to adhere to the metal, the different properties and different ingredients, the way that they would actually mix the paint for best product. Because is it a slow stir? Is it a fast mixing product? You know, like I really went through a lot of these things because I had two choices. I had one is just sit there and stare blankly off into nothing, or looking at something but just drifting off into daydreams, or looking at things and start taking them apart so I better understand my own knowledge level. Anytime I came across a point in time when I didn't recognize a value that was necessary in order to make it make sense or to quantify sense, I realized there was some place that I had to research. You know, I couldn't quickly run to my phone and, you know, or use my phone, because that was also not, that was a restricted thing as well. You weren't going to sit there and play on your phone all day. So we weren't allowed to do that. So I utilized my intelligence and or my knowledge base and what I knew and what I found out that I didn't know. I got past the paint, went to the metal. Where could that metal be sourced from? South America, or was it potentially from, you know, what areas of the planet that it could have been sourced from? What actually binds atoms together, and what kind of speed these atoms must be moving at, because there's this very obviously solid, strong material in front of me. So I considered all of these different variables and found that my day went by with great curiosity, and it moved by much faster and much more satisfying than just sitting there thinking about how my butt was getting sore because I was sitting for so long. Of course, I could stand up and move around, don't get me wrong, but still, move around on a leash, basically. So you see, I wasted no time. I actually got curious about my reality, and I started putting effort into understanding it even better. So I didn't take the post for granted. I did this for the people that walked by as well. I just looked at what I knew about the anatomy of the human being, functionalities of the human being through the holistic perspective, you know, the psychology of the individuals that are involved with me at work. And then later, after I had the opportunity to create dialogue with these individuals, I started qualifying how accurate I was based off of my background knowledge and, you know, Moshe Feldenkrais techniques and his education that he offered, Freud's techniques in education and psychology, movement pattern behavioralisms, you know, the body language behaviors, and, you know, or what did body languages say about a person? A lot of factors that we're going through as I just observed people as they walked by while listening for alarms. And you see, like, I really came across no boredom at all. I came across more curiosities that I pursued and started getting very intimately involved with people, rather than just making them fixtures in the background or just other people out there trying to make a paycheck. I always engage as curiously as possible, because everyone that I have the opportunity to speak with creates great value for who I am, as well as potentially for both myself and that other person's future. So I try not to go with loaded conversations. Right? So if I did that with them, you know, some people I admitted that I was, you know, kind of trying to figure out how things were occurring for them. But that were just a few people that I knew. I didn't want to seem like a madman, right? Or some sort of obsessive technique. But most people were very curious why I was working at a power plant with that kind of mindset. You know, why aren't you writing books and appearing on television and blah, blah, blah. I heard that quite a bit. Like, Chad, you don't belong here. Well, belonging is an interesting statement. So where exactly would I belong? Right. So there was a lot of different philosophical curiosities that I offered these individuals, as well as I found in myself, or found being authored to me by these other people. So as you can see, time is never wasted. That's a choice that you make. But I promise you, if you say and you've made the choice that you've wasted time, when you look back on it later in life, you'll reflect to understand that you didn't waste any time. You just don't necessarily see the value in what you did during the time you felt was wasted. So I'll have to conclude this particular recording, or this video, just because I have obligations. So with that, thank you guys very much for your time, patience, and attention. I hope that this video has brought a good deal of value to you. If you want to know more about these developmental aspects, there's going to be, I have slated 5 different programs available as of November 1st, 2015. You'll know more about that, as well as the website to go to. It's currently under construction, but it is thehumanmanual.net. That is thehumanmanual.net. And that's where you'll find these programs available for developmental aspects, relationships, business, just you as yourself. There's a lot of different products that I'm working on, different programs. But in the meantime, I just hope that you understand that this video is not intended to replace a doctor or offset any medical advice in any way, or to tell you anything other than, if you're not feeling well for any reason, get curious about your wellness and consult a physician or a doctor to the appropriate area that you feel unwell about. Or pick up some damn books and get to reading, because these things they're waiting knowledge. It's just waiting. All right. Final thought is, your experience in life is very valuable. If you feel your experience in life is so valuable, you're willing to write a book or to stand out and do something that can really offer an opportunity for other people, then consider that what you've experienced in your life has a great deal of value and honor for other people to consider. Now, if that's the case, for the people that we disagree with, take a second to understand that they have a different walk of life. They have a different perspective due to their experiences and what they've chosen to be correct and accurate for themselves. And it's not up to us to make them wrong necessarily, unless we know that those behaviors are creating something ill in either their life or in other people's lives. And if it isn't their life, it will be in other people's lives as well. So the case is that don't be a crusader with the righteousness so much as get curious about other people's lives and how valuable they are and the experiences that they've had. And you can really up your entire intelligence quotients as well as your maturity quotients. So if you do this, your life will be fruitful. You'll feel that you've lived a very fulfilled life. With that, my friends, understand that every book that's written has a value. Every video ever created has a value, no matter how radical it is to your view or your belief system. If you really listen for the message, you'll have an opportunity to make a difference. So if they're radical and they just seem like they're ill to some reason or to some degree, you might actually be the key to their sanity. You might be the key to their health and well-being. But you need to learn to listen and not be a crusader. Right? So with that, I'll expand on that particular thought later if you wish for me to. I will expect some sort of feedback for that particular prompting, whether that's in person or through the YouTube channel or Facebook or wherever else you might have actually come across this material. Again, this is Chad Everett Broshears. I am the host of Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia. And with that, I hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day, and thank you for your attention.